bare-knuckle boxers, gangsters, drug dealers. I mean, you wouldn't want to stay around theirs, would you? Well, guess what? I got an invite. I'm moving in with some of the country's most dangerous men, so we can find out how they sleep at night. And judging by this mob, there's gonna be tears before bedtime.
I'm going to be living with Bernard O'Mahony, a man whose life has revolved around crime and violence.
I was done for robbery, lots and lots of grievous bodily harms.
His CV reads like a character from a carnage-ridden road movie. Soldier in Northern Ireland, football hooligan in London, gun-toting doorman in Johannesburg.
Another decade of fucking madness, really, with gangs, stabbings, shootings.
But overshadowing all of this is his association and acrimonious split from the infamous gangsters known as the Essex Boys.
That's when my phone started ringing, you know. We're gonna fucking shoot you, we're gonna fucking do you.
The Essex grapevine still buzzes with rumour and hearsay about them. And as I approach this journey, thoughts cloud my mind. I've been hearing things. People have told me that Bernard isn't all that he claims to be.
And the weird thing for me is, for the first time, I've been getting phone calls about this guy. I'm being told things, he's a grass, he's a fake, he's living on the back of this, you know, this idea of the Essex Boys and, you know, bad reviews really. So, you know, it's not healthy for me really to be going to meet this guy with this stuff going on in my mind. So I've got to take him at face value. I've got to give the guy a shot, but you know, I'm getting sort of negative thoughts before I've even met him, and that's a weird, strange feeling, you know. I don't like going to work this way, you know. I'd rather just not know anything.
I'm meeting Bernard in a field in the middle of the English countryside.
What a beautiful day. One absolutely stunningly beautiful day in the middle of a beautiful forest. You know, nice, go on a nice hike, bit of rambling, and then you come across this. Fucking hell. You gonna be all right with that, son?
Yeah, how you doing?
How are you, mate?
Hang on.
Oi.
All right, Danny, good to meet you, mate.
Good to meet you, son. So what's happening here then? What's this? You got some sort of photo shoot going on here or what?
Yeah.
What's it made of?
We're doing a photo shoot for a book, Faces, which is like real-life photos of villains, basically, you know what I mean?
Judging by some of the subjects featured in the book, Bernard seems well connected to the criminal underworld. Accompanying Bernard on the shoot is a strangely macabre piece of British crime history. In this Range Rover, on a cold December night, 3 men were shot dead. The killings of Tony Tucker, Craig Rolfe and Pat Tate have become infamous as the Essex Boys murders.
Well, okay, well, so is this the actual motor?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's a strange feeling to think that, you know, 3 men were shot to death in this car.
Bizarrely, despite once being a crime scene, this car was sold at a police auction. Bernard's borrowed it for the shoot.
A bit weird though why someone would want the motor, do you know what I mean? I don't spin about in this, do you? Pick your nan up, take her out with a bit of lunch. It has got an eerie feel to it though, there's no two ways about that. Quite a full-on first meet though, I must say. Straight in, no fucking about.
It all feels odd. A bit like being in some kind of gangster theme park. I can't help wondering how deeply involved with the Essex Boys Bernard really was. Is all the stuff I've been told about him true? Is he just a bit of a wannabe?
I mean, how much did you have to do with these people then? I mean, was you...
Oh, he was my partner.
Who was your partner then?
Tucker.
Tucker.
Tony Tucker ran the security for a string of nightclubs, including Raquel's in Basildon, where Bernard worked.
I run the door for him, and he was just supplied the drugs in the club, basically.
But Bernard's certainly not mourning his former associates.
There were three bullies who got what was coming to them, really, and it was just a case of not are they going to get shot, who's going to fucking shoot them first,
Really?
you know what I mean?
So there's people queuing up really to wind them out, yeah?
Yeah. When they got shot, not one fucking bit surprised. Not one bit surprised. I knew it was coming. I couldn't believe they couldn't see it coming, because every other fucker could, do you know what I mean?
I'm not sure what to make of all this. Shotguns and a motor in which 3 gangsters were killed. I was unsure about Bernard before I came, and so far nothing has made me think otherwise. I still don't know much about him. I'm going to have to dig deeper and find out to make up my own mind. I'm spending a few days with Bernard O'Mahony, a man whose life has revolved around violence and crime.
I personally don't think I was a very violent person. My victims would argue that I am.
I'm not quite sure what to make of him. He tells me he's a former associate of the infamous Essex Boys. And he's even been using the Range Rover they were shot in for a photo shoot for his book.
It has got an eerie feel to it.
But I've been told that he's a grass and is someone not to be trusted. We've headed back to Bernard's house, where I'm hoping to find some clues that can tell me more about him. I have a nose in his study. He has a strange mix of mementos and souvenirs that he's collected down the years.
I do my work here.
Well, I've got to say, straight away, Rolling Stones, massive fan myself.
In the 80s, he used to be the bodyguard of former Rolling Stones guitarist Mick Taylor. Mick's the one with the hair.
Any scrapes? I mean, any...
No, just deranged women, you know what I mean?
See, that's not too bad.
It's not too bad at all.
This led to other security work for a number of high-profile A-list celebrities.
I've seen your face before.
Quite the odd thing for me, Bernard, is obviously, you know, you've got all these sort of, you know, Rolling Stones. Another great one of Mick Jagger there, and it's surrounded by these Batman pictures. You know? Any idea why Batman? I mean, you've got Superman, you've got Spider-Man, you can go where you want with it. But
I don't know,
Batman just touched you in a way.
Yeah. I just always enjoyed it, you know what I mean? I always liked it, good versus evil, you know what I mean? The ultimate battle, innit?
Yeah.
I always just liked it, you know what I mean?
It's a bit of a mad mix of stuff. But then he shows me something that turns my stomach.
This is such a weird thing.
Bernard was once a pen pal of the Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe.
The murder victim was identified tonight as 20-year-old Jacqueline Hill, a student who had been living in the Headingley area of the city.
Sutcliffe murdered 13 women between 1975 to 1980. Although deemed sane at his trial, he was later sent to Broadmoor Psychiatric Hospital. It's one of the most surreal moments I've ever experienced. Here I am leafing through letter after letter written by one of Britain's most notorious serial killers.
And just look, I mean, it's Peter Sutcliffe's handwriting. Strange to just think that that's a man that has killed many people, you know, for many years. I have vastly changed from my attitude of 10 or 11 years ago. I was tragically misguided in those days about certain matters. I know that only too well. Oh, it's terrible. I feel ill reading it. Lots of love and fondest thoughts always, Peter. me.
But why on earth was Bernard writing to the Yorkshire Ripper? As he starts to explain it to me, the story becomes even stranger. Bernard got pally with the Ripper through his friendship with two of Britain's most infamous criminals, the Kray twins. After organising a charity boxing event, he became a regular visitor to both the Krays, which sparked an interest in Bernard from one of the tabloids.
A crime reporter at the News of the World got in touch with me and he just started talking generally to me and he was going, oh, you visit the Krays. And he said, do you ever see the Ripper when you're in Broadmoor? I said, yeah, I see him all the time. I said, he sits on the next visiting table. So he said, oh, if you ever get any stories on him, like, be worth a lot of money. So I said, I see what? I said, I'll write to him just to prove he'll do it. So he went, go on then.
In order to gain the trust of the Ripper, Bernard adopted an alter ego. Meet 32-year-old barmaid Belinda Cannon.
Belinda. Quite imaginative, I must say.
You have to adopt the character of the person they're interested in, or the sex they're interested in. So I wrote to him as this Belinda Cannon. He wrote back, and he just, if I asked him what his favourite colour was, he told me. If I asked him why he killed prostitutes, he told me. And I have to admit, in the end, it became quite an amusing game in the end. And,
I can imagine. I mean,
after about 8 months, he proposed to me.
Unbelievable. I mean,
Bernard thought his letters would result in selling a story to the papers, but nothing came of it. He realised, however, that by this method, he could get detailed information from prisoners. He began writing to Richard Blenky, who was awaiting trial for the murder of a 7-year-old child, and who Bernard believed was guilty.
Over a period of time, he wrote and told me in detail what had happened to this boy. And a week before the trial, I wrote to him. I said, look, I fucking know you lied. You did it, didn't you? And he wrote back, he went, yeah, I've done it. And I got in touch with the police, give him the letter. And they confronted him with the letter on the morning of the trial. And he's there to plead not guilty. And it's something that sticks with me. The boy's father said, it was the best feeling in my life, he said, because I knew he was guilty, the police know he's guilty. To hear him stand there and say, yeah, I did it, he said it was like fucking... Yeah. And he can't appeal, can he?
No, of course not.
So it's a great... I do get a lot of pleasure out of it, yeah. It's a fucking great feeling.
What other people have you wrote to then?
Oh God, you name it. Ian Brady.
Brady's, yeah, Brady.
I became friends with Winnie Johnson, whose son... Paul's still missing.
The boy that they never found, yeah.
And she suggested I speak to him, and I've been speaking to him now for 7 years, and I still speak to him now.
Nothing.
He ain't going nowhere.
He's on an hunger strike for how long?
He's off his fucking trolley. You know what I mean?
He also tried to get a confession out of Ian Huntley before he went to trial.
Ian Huntley.
I wrote to him for a long time. A vile fucking.
Oh, fucking disgusting,
Disgusting,
man.
yeah.
I mean, they all are, to be fair, aren't they? What drives you then to get up, make a stand, and go that deep into it? I mean, it takes a lot of fucking time. Bollocks, fucks with your brain.
I despise people who hurt kids. You know what I mean? I fucking despise. Some people, protest about the ozone layer. Some people ban the bomb, but me, anyone who hurts a child, anybody, I fucking despise them.
It's as if Bernard's trying to be like his hero, Batman, crusading for justice, for a different persona. I've never met anyone with such a strange and complex relationship with law and order. On the one hand, involved in a major drug scene with gangsters, and on the other, a pen-wielding vigilante, writing to some seriously disturbed individuals in an attempt to get what he sees as justice.
Scumbags have gone to prison, have never appealed, they're guilty, end of story. So there's a lot of satisfaction in that, do you know what I mean? But I just like turning the bastards over, you know what I mean?
Bernard lives in Birmingham with his partner, Roche. She's prepared us some dinner. As we chat over our meal, I try to find out where Bernard's vigilante streak comes from. The more we talk, the more he starts to open up to me about the extreme violence he experienced at home as a boy.
My old man was a complete fucking horrible bastard. The things he used to do to my mother, like gas her and cut her and fucking do terrible things. It's a good example of this is on Mother's Day when I was at school. He picked up a plate And he's gone to my mother, happy fucking Mother's Day, man. Oof, smashed her fucking straight in the head with it.
After enduring years of violent abuse, Bernard and his elder brother decided to dish out their own justice.
Me and my brother attacked him, and my brother, we gave him a really good hiding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the next day he left home.
So he come unstuck, you and your brother attacked him, and then he fucked off.
He left the next day and I never see him again.
He couldn't show his fucking face.
Never showed him to see him again. He knew his day had come, you know what I mean? He knew his day had come. He wasn't a man, he's a mess, you know.
His life began gravitating towards crime.
I was just always in trouble. Always in trouble. I was done for robbery, 2 counts of robbery, affray, assaults, lots and lots of grievous bodily harms, 2 woundings. I was banned from every licensed premises in Staffordshire by the Crown Court.
In an attempt to avoid a prison sentence, Bernard joined the army. Again, he ended up surrounded by violence. This time in Northern Ireland.
And the locals are really good at fucking you up, you know what I mean? And you're looking all around, you think you're going to be attacked because there's noises, and it is real pressure in your mind, you know what I mean?
After 4 years' service for Queen and Country, he moved to London, where he signed up with a different kind of army. Attracted to the violence of football hooliganism, he started running about with a Millwall crew.
When violence occurred, and I was in their company, they'd think, fucking hell, like, Bernie can have a rare, do you know what I mean? Suddenly you have these people who admire you because you're anti-establishment or anti-authority.
And you can hold your hands up and you're not,
and suddenly you think you become someone, which is a foolish thing to think, really. But because you're young and naive, you start to believe it. So the badder you are, the more people like you, you're thinking, you know, the more of a following you have.
I can understand how Bernard gained a reputation for himself as a young man, but I can't help thinking about the things people have said to me about him. His name's not held in the highest regard, to say the least, by certain people connected to the Essex scene.
For me, before I've met you for the first time and anyone I've met, I'm getting bad vibes off people, telling me this, that and the other about you. Now, I've got to take people on face value at the end of the day.
Yeah, but if I just stop you there, Danny, this is the crux of the problem. I don't give a fuck for no man or what he thinks of me. I'm my own man. But there are people who say, oh, he's this, he's that, he's that. But I'm doing that book Faces, and I've got every top villain in the country's agreed to do it. So the people who tend to sit and talk shit about me are really the people who don't fucking matter, do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's the way I look at it, you know what I mean? When it comes to caring and sleepless nights, there is no one. No. There is no one there.
Life's too fucking short, Bernard. Don't worry about that. Life is too short, mate.
I'm starting to get an understanding of Bernard. He sees himself as a defender of the weak. From beating up his violent father as a young man, to writing letters that convict child killers he despises. It's all part of his own moral code. It's been a long old day. Bernard's a complex character. There's so much more I still need to find out. Crucially, I've not got to the bottom of his falling out with the Essex Boys. I want to find that out for myself and not rely on rumours and hearsay.
I've really learned you've got to just take people at face value. On a personal level, you know, I've gone into this thinking this geezer's going to be shit. He's going to be fake. He's going to be just a wannabe. And, you know, I couldn't have been any more wrong, really. He's not claiming to be a villain. That's what's interesting. He's clearly fascinated by that whole world. Some of the stuff he's been telling me has freaked me the fuck out. This whole idea of writing to people like Sutcliffe and Huntley and, you know, these paedophiles, trying to get information out of them, and, you know, I mean, it's a fucking mad thing to do. But he's clearly done a bit of Bird, and I'd like to sort of delve into a bit of that tomorrow. You know, there's a lot more stuff going on. So, you can get me nut down. You know, I feel safe here, even though there's a lot of hate for this guy, but I feel safe here, I feel comfortable here, and, you know, we'll go over some stuff tomorrow, I think. I'm gonna have a lot to think about tonight.
I'm living with Bernard O'Mahony, a man whose life has been a richly dangerous tapestry.
I mean, I've been stabbed 6 or 7 times, I mean.
It's been a strange one.
Fucking hell.
We met in a field with guns and a Range Rover, in which 3 of his former associates had been shot dead. Back at his house, he showed me his collection of letters to various psychopaths, as you do.
It's Peter Sutcliffe's handwriting.
It's the morning of my second day, and over a cup of tea, I have a chat with Bernard and his 30-year-old partner, Roche. There's a bit of an age difference, so I start with a bit of teasing.
She's a lovely young lady, Bernard. I can't help but notice she's a bit younger than you.
Is she?
A lot younger, you know. You've had a right result there.
Spent a lot of money, haven't we?
I wonder if Roche knows what she's getting into. Bernard's involvement in crime has resulted in him being threatened on several occasions. One example is this incident caught on CCTV. It shows Bernard being attacked with a pepper spray outside a nightclub. His response proved that he's not someone to be trifled with.
Do you ever worry about him, Bernard? Do you ever worry just because of
People who...
the books he's wrote and the people he's upset? You know, which Bernard, you know, he takes it with a pinch of salt. But yourself, I mean, that's your man, isn't it? So
That phone call, I was a bit concerned of. But then again, and I'll think, well, he knows how to handle them sort of people. So in a sense, not really, because I know he can talk to them in the way they would expect him to. So
and you would know if he was worried.
you would get a feeling in any way, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? On something, and then I would say like, oh.
But no one's ever going to hurt you, going to ring you up and warn you.
No.
Nah,
When
just
they
all
ring you
talk,
up, I
and
just
it's
go,
silly talk.
damn,
But...
another fool who's had too much coke.
And I think as well, if it was going to happen, and they're going to say it was going to happen, it would have already happened in any way, wouldn't it?
Speaking to Bernard about this, I realise we have something in common. He's been called this, that and the other and judged by people who don't know him. It's something that I get from doing these shows.
Well, it's this thing that I have to deal with is this tough guy image, right? A hard man, you know, and this is what the press label you as, right? You know, it's always in my mind someone's going to have a pop at me, you know, thinking that, look, I'm not a mug or nothing like that. I'm from Canning Town, but I've always swerved that life, you know? And so I always read things about me, and it's Danny Dyer in brackets, tough guy actor, which is complete bollocks. And it frustrates me, you know? I'm a sensitive soul. And I suppose making these shows don't help me at all, but the reason I do make these shows is to show a different side to me. Yeah. And I'm not giving it the big one. I mean, you know, when I met people like Paddy, you know, I felt like a little girl around him. You know, and I wasn't afraid to say that, you know. It's important that I try and get that across, you know. So
it doesn't matter what Mr. X thinks of me or this gang think of me. I don't go to bed worrying about him, do you know what I mean?
Despite the threats, they seem happy together, and they have one very good reason to look forward to the future. Roche is expecting a baby in 6 months. It will be Bernard's 4th. He has 2 sons and a daughter who are now grown up.
How does it feel, the fact that you're going to have another child 32 years after the first time you had a child? I mean, I've got to say, I've got to hold my hands up to you. I'll raise my cup of tea to that, you know.
It doesn't matter what you do, second time round, third time round, you can do things better, do you know what I mean? And I look back at things I did bringing my own kids up and I think, oh, you should have spent maybe more time, you should have done this, more time at home. And so I'm really looking forward to it, to cover all them little mistakes I made on the way, do you know what I mean?
Bernard's got a chance to make a new start, which is something he didn't get with his second wife, Emma. Aged just 26, she suddenly and tragically died of a flu-related illness less than 6 months after they were married. One of Bernard's weekly rituals is to visit her grave.
As you can see, I'm not very good at flower arranging.
I was going to say that, yeah. I wouldn't book you a flower arranger though, Bernard, to be honest.
I used to come every other day, you know what I mean? But you've got to move on. She'd understand that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll never forget her, you know what I mean? But you just got to get up and dust yourself down and get on with it, you know what I mean?
And how long would you usually spend over here? Just sit here and just, you know?
Oh, when it first happened, I slept here a few times.
Really?
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I mean, 19 weeks. You know, and she always used to joke, you know, when you were old, I'd slash your tyres and leave you in your wheelchair in the middle of nowhere, you know. But you just don't think she's going to die.
Bernard's in a reflective mood, and so I take my chance to question him further about his violent past.
From a very early age, as I say, my father was probably the most violent man I've ever known in my life. He was off his fucking head. And he wouldn't just beat you, he'd use weapons on you, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And you left the house just fucking your mind just turmoil. And when you saw happy kids, you really resented them, and you wanted to crush their happiness. And
really?
My daddy this and my daddy that, and you'd smash them. And then when you're at school, you'd get in trouble, and teachers couldn't understand why you're so violent, so disruptive, and you become a sort of outcast. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But that violence sort of stuck with me, and I inflicted it on lots of people. I've been in prison 4 or 5 times, but just for wounding, and I've been remanded a few times, but all for violence, you know what I mean?
In 1983, after he stabbed a man in a pub, Bernard went on the run.
I knew I was going to prison, and so I thought, move to Holland. Because I'm out the jurisdiction of the police.
After a brief spell lying low in Holland's liberal city of sin, he headed for a place where he was drawn back into a world of violence.
We flew to South Africa, landed there, and the fucking first riots ever in Johannesburg kicked off.
South Africa in 1984 was at the peak of its violent and troubled history, with apartheid tearing the country apart. In Johannesburg, Bernard found work as a security guard on the door of a Greek nightclub on the city's notorious Murder Mile.
Dangerous place to go, though.
It is very, you're not like a doorman here. You have an handgun, you have a shotgun, all types of different weapons, yeah.
Don't need a licence.
No, I ain't had a fucking holiday permit.
The Murder Mile is exactly what it says on the tin. It's one of the most violent streets in the whole world. Everyone carried guns, everyone carried knives, and they're just fucking killing each other.
Following a fight with a Portuguese gang in the club, one of them followed Bernard home.
And then when I went home that evening, I was attacked by him and I was stabbed in the chest. And there was a bit of a fight in the lift, and the Portuguese guy got hurt quite badly.
Bernard was arrested for the attack and once again found himself in prison.
It's a horrendous fucking place. They used to hang between 7 and 14 people a week.
Would they hang people in front of you, or was it one of them sort of...
Yeah, or they'll put them in a lorry and you'll see them going down one end of the prison, and then you'll see the lorry coming back and they're all fucking dead in the back of it.
As soon as he was granted bail, he fled the country on an emergency passport, taking the first available flight out. He found himself in Luxembourg, from where he travelled to France and then back on a ferry to the UK, where he was still wanted for the pub stabbing.
I had no proper passport, just a piece of paper saying from Joburg to England. And the customs man see me walking towards him, I just thought, I know he's going to tug me, I just know it. And he tugged me, and I was in prison the same night because they got me for what I originally went on the run for.
But you was back in England, though? I mean,
oh yeah, I was in Stafford prison, and it was like being in the Hilton Hotel compared to what I'd been in.
You think you learnt stuff from being in prison? I mean, did it sort of shape you into a better man?
Well, I'd like to think that I learned stuff from every tragedy and every bit of shit you go through. You know what I mean? And prison was no different. But people who think it's clever, it's just soul destroying being in prison, because you're locked up with complete fucking idiots.
Do you have any feelings of guilt, or from the people that you have hurt, people you've cut, people you've bottled? I mean, do you dwell on that at all? Or?
No, because it's just done business to me, and a few of the people I've had altercations with, I still haven't got. You know, some of them I think, you know, they're just worthless human beings. But there's others I genuinely do feel I regret doing it. Do you know what I mean? And there's good and bad in all walks, isn't there? But I don't dwell on things, you know what I mean? It's like, you just move on, get on with it, you know what I mean?
I've had 2 days with Bernard, and I've learnt that throughout his life, he's been constantly drawn to the criminal underworld. It's as if crime is the oxygen to his flame, and without it, I wonder if he would be able to exist. But questions still remain for me, blanks in this story that need to be filled, and most of them revolve around the place that I suspect shaped much of who Bernard is today. It's the county that I now call home, the birthplace of such varied and great British icons like Sir Alf Ramsey, Sam Fox, and the Escort XR3i. In the 1980s, Essex became synonymous with white stilettos, flash motors, and the aspirational working class. Girls who are boys, who like boys, who do girls, who do boys like their girls, who do girls like their boys. Always should be someone you're in. It had become the place East Londoners moved to when they'd made it. And that included its fair share of gangsters and villains. One of those was Bernard. It's where he met the Essex Boys.
I want to know how deep, how involved Bernard was with it all, you know? I mean, was he just running the doors? Was he just another bouncer? Was he just another lump? You know, or was he really in with that firm? I mean, was he really, you know, involved with the drug side of things? And, you know, it's still quite a grey area for me.
We're meeting in the tiny village of Rettendon, as far removed from the criminal underworld as you could imagine. But its quiet tranquility was shockingly disturbed one morning when the bodies of gangsters Tony Tucker, Craig Rolfe and Pat Tate were found in a blood-splattered Range Rover.
The 3 victims were shot in the Range Rover they'd been driven in, not to complete a drug deal as they'd been led to believe, but to be killed by 2 rivals.
As we walked the quiet path where the men were found, I asked Bernard how he'd come to be involved with these men in the first place.
I mean, was you involved with the drug side of it? Was you, you know, just on the door? I mean, how deep was you?
In 1986, I was released from prison and new beginning, new start. Jumped on a train and headed to Essex.
Once again, Bernard's wanderlust brought him back into contact with violence when he became a bouncer at Raquel's nightclub in Basildon.
At the time, it was like stilettos and fucking drunks, basically, you know what I mean? They're either trying to fuck each other or fight each other.
Yeah.
But everything was about to change. Something arrived that revolutionised clubbing. And it wasn't headscarves.
What it done is it changed clubbers. It changed, you know, what they was doing when they was in a club.
And the monsters turned into mice overnight, do you know what I mean?
They did, didn't they?
Hugging each other and loving each other.
And the mice needed feeding. Now Bernard didn't have to worry about tear-ups and chucking people out. It was all about making money from ecstasy. He joined forces with Tony Tucker and they controlled the drug trade inside Raquel's.
I said, you know, you can have your bit on the side of the gear and I'll run the door and we'll all be happy, do you know what I mean? Because it was a big club, it attracted like promoters, rave promoters, because they thought, oh, it's a peaceful club, Tucker runs it, everything will be sweet, all the drugs in it. It worked really well.
The drug business is a ruthless one. As Bernard was about to witness firsthand, Tucker and Tate were dangerous gangsters, with their fingers in all kinds of unsavoury pies.
Tate went into Canning Town, which you know very well because you're from there, and he robbed people in Canning Town, and it's just not a career move, you know what I mean? It's just not very clever, and they thought they were invincible, you know what I mean?
Tate only went through people's doors one way, and that was just kick it off the hinges, barging, screaming, shouting, threatening people with guns, violence, just naked violence. I mean, it's the only thing he knew, do you know what I mean? I went on expeditions to Bristol to shoot a guy. I went to Sunderland to kidnap 2 brothers. So it was like although everything was Essex based, they had sort of nationwide interests.
You know, they were just vile human beings who destroyed families, destroyed people and wrecked their lives.
Things came to a head when 18-year-old Leah Betts became an unwitting anti-drugs poster girl. After taking an ecstasy tablet, she fell into a coma.
Police warned that they suspected the ecstasy tablet was contaminated with another substance.
The police believed that the type of pill she had taken was being sold in Raquel's. They approached Bernard about getting hold of one for analysis.
I've got this dilemma. Is it a dilemma? Not really. There's a young girl dying. Do I help her, or do I adhere to this bollocks mythical underworld code where you don't talk to the police, you don't grass, you don't do this, you don't... I knew they wouldn't be happy about it, but I said, I'll try and get you one. I said to the police, I'll try and get you one of these pills. Helps the girl, great, you know what I mean?
Bernard couldn't get his hands on one of the pills, but as far as the Essex Boys were concerned, he'd spoken to the police, and so he was a grass.
But when Tucker and Tate and the others heard that I'd so openly agreed to assist the police, that's when my phone started ringing, you know. We're going to fucking shoot you, we're going to fucking do you.
But just a few weeks later, Bernard wouldn't have to worry about any threats. Someone went after him, and they didn't miss.
There was about these killings a hard and ruthless edge which can only horrify and stagger the non-criminal mind.
According to Bernard, the Essex Boys had it coming. They'd pissed a lot of people off thanks to their antics that involved robbing other drug dealers.
And there's no hiding, no masks when they went to rob these people. And when a geezer loses 100 grand's worth of gear, it's going to come back on you, you know what I mean?
And he believes they were lured down the lane with a story of a plane loaded with drugs that was landing on this field. It was a lie. He explains that there were two gunmen, one who was in the car with them, the other waiting in the bushes.
The vehicle came in, went to the bottom of the lane, pulled up at a 5-bar gate.
Yes.
Gunman's accomplice walks to the front of the car pretending to get the gate. Instead of unlocking the gate, he actually bends down and picks the shotgun up. Meantime, his friends come out of the undergrowth to the open back door, does Rolf behind the ear in the back of the head, does Tucker in the side of the face, shoots Tate in the liver. He didn't intend to kill him initially. He wanted him to witness the slaughter and say a few words to him. And then the other gunman went round to where Tate was sitting, put the gun in through the broken window into the back of his head, pulled the trigger and sent Tate to wherever we all go.
So if the killers were with them, they must have known them.
Very well organised, wasn't it? Didn't take a lot of people.
Extremely well organised, yeah. I mean,
There's people that have done this many, many times before, isn't it, really?
They knew what they were doing.
Even though the murders happened 15 years ago, Bernard is still involved with the case. He's campaigning for the two men convicted of the crime. He believes Mick Steele and Jack Wombs are innocent.
I mean, they got sentenced to 15 years. I mean, that's 15 years ago. I mean, surely they're due out, aren't they?
Well, they won't accept their guilt, so they're not going to let them out while they're still protesting their innocence.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, they just...
Even though they've done their time?
They
for
just
murder?
won't have it.
So they'll do hands up and say, I'm guilty, and even if they're not, then they'll be allowed out?
That's how it should work, but I'm not sure it would in their case, you know what I mean?
Bernard thinks the old Bill got the wrong people. And at the time of the murders, he was being threatened by the men that were killed. He also seems to know a lot of details. It's got me thinking, could he have been involved? I've been living with Bernard O'Mahony, a man whose life has been inextricably linked to violence and crime. We're in Essex, a place that has played a major role in Bernard's life. He's a former associate of Tony Tucker, Craig Rolfe and Pat Tate, who were murdered in one of Britain's most shocking gangland killings. I've learnt that he'd fallen out with the gang just before they were killed, and he's told me that he doesn't believe the men convicted are guilty. He also knows a hell of a lot of detail about the killings. He was arrested at the time on suspicion of the murders, so it's left me wondering.
I've got to ask you, Bernard, I mean, for me, you seem to know so much about it. I mean, it's almost as if you're standing there watching it happen. I mean, I mean, how do you know that this is how it took place? How do you know? I mean,
Well, because
guesswork or what?
no, people talk, don't they? And you know, over the last 15 years, I've got a good idea of what happened. And if I knew who'd done it, I wouldn't tell, because I honestly think whoever did it did the world a favour. You know what I mean?
While he's in Essex, Bernard's come to see his daughter, Caris. She lives here with his first wife, Deborah.
Oh. I mean, how proud are you of your daughter?
I love her to bits.
It's a moment, isn't it?
They're both expensive creatures.
Cost you a bomb, did she?
Both of them, but they're worth it, isn't they?
He's clearly proud of his 21-year-old daughter, and I wonder how she feels about her dad.
What do you feel about the whole thing with the writing the letters to people like Sutcliffe and...
I just think if it helps like the parents of the kids and that out, or it helps them to be sent down, then fair enough.
If you can help, you will, wouldn't you? And people don't like it, then bollocks to them, you know what I mean?
This whole criminal underworld thing, you know, for you, I mean, is it a professional interest? I mean, or is it a bit of an obsession you've got going on? Sort of like if you go into something, you give it 150% and, you know, you can become quite obsessed by it. Is that a fair comment to make?
I've never done anything by halves, you know what I mean? But I do get, if I get into something, I won't let it go, you know what I mean? And it's not always healthy. It's definitely not always healthy. But I have a real, I think my whole life's a contradiction, really. I've got this real sense of like injustice and, you know, want to right wrongs. But then I've been a complete arsehole in the past.
Something you're constantly battling with?
Definitely. I mean, you know, I have problems and my first thought is go and bash them, do you know what I mean? And like the beast resides within, you know what I mean? But you've just got to, as you get older, just think wise up, take a breath, stop, do the right thing. And sometimes when you've lived another life, doing the right thing's frowned upon by other people.
I came into this thinking that Bernard could be a grass and a fake. I've listened to his story, and I believe that he did what he felt he had to do. He lives by a complex code, which appears contradictory. On the one hand, he has roots in violent criminality, and on the other, he seeks to right injustices. It's not always easy to do the right thing, especially when people are looking to kill you for doing it.